Hello everybody, my name is Jake Kurth. I'm with Leeds Forensic Systems. Thanks for coming back to another one of our Leeds Helpful Tips live streams, brought to you from our offices in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where every week Leeds goes over a topic about one of our products, and it's helpful, and is an interesting tip that you can use in the use of your Leeds product in your casework. Today's helpful tip is going to be going over the Spot basic software as well as Spot advanced software. And it's specifically hyper-focused about how to do some easy annotations, and we're also going to get into macros in the Spot Advanced. So won't be a long video, but I think will be a good one for you guys, especially if you're trying to very quickly move through casework and get annotations on your pictures. So before we begin, one of the cool things about doing our live streams through YouTube is if you have a Google account or a Gmail account and are comfortable signing in, there's actually a chat window on the right-hand side, and you can ask any questions, and I'll look and hopefully see your questions before the live stream ends and be able to answer them. And let me see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, because it's a live stream, it's coming to you live, so that means things can happen. If the internet cuts out or the signal from the monitor goes out, please just bear with me, and I'll try to bring it back. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into it. And while I'm using one of our LCF3 comparison microscopes behind me, you can actually use this, what we're going to cover today, on any of our Spot software-driven cameras. So that's like the CMOS 5, and that's also for our trace comparison scopes too. So you should be seeing the software, and yes you are. Okay, so one of the things that this was not an idea that I came up with to do this tutorial. We actually had a customer of ours, we did a one-on-one web training with them. And they had asked some questions about basically how to do what we're doing today. So what I'm going to do first is we're just going to start off with a picture, and I'm going to go ahead and capture it. So this is our live, for those who are familiar with Spot, this is kind of what the interface looks like. You've got your live image, you've got your camera settings, and I'm going to just go ahead and take a picture. And so here's our picture. This is not a high dynamic range picture. This is just a simple point-and-shoot capture picture. And now what I would do in the software is, let's say I want to come in and do annotations. I would have to go to, and I will have to always do this in Spot Basic. You're going to go to Edit, because it's an edit. Anytime you're editing a picture, including annotations, it's an edit. You're going to go to Annotate, and nothing happens. What's going on? So this happens all the time. The way the Spot software works is when you go into annotation mode, it brings up this little tool window. And that's the easiest way to do it. You want to use that little toolbox window. Because if you don't have it, you have to dig through menus to try to draw arrows, text boxes, that kind of thing. So what happens sometimes is people will close that little window. And so then you have to refind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to View. And you'll see there's this little Show Tools icon. Really quick, I'm just going to make sure I'm in focus. Yep, we're good. Right on my scruffy neck. So all right, we're going to go to Show Tools. We're going to click on that. And then what's going to happen is it's pulled up in my other monitor, but it's going to bring up this little tool window. And once you're with these tools, now you have the power of annotation. You can do everything you want. So if you want to come in and draw arrows, you can do that. You know, you can draw text boxes, that type of thing. But we're being really focused. What we're going to do is do a text box, and I'm going to type in some case information. So I'm going to draw a text, and I'm going to type in here. Let's just call this JPK Testifier 1. We're pretending that this is a comparison image. Maybe I should have set it up as a comparison image. But where you'd have a comparison image, you'd have a test or a known on the left, an unknown on the right, or however you do it. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to go ahead and create another text box over here. And you'll notice that with text box mode, it keeps drawing text boxes. So I can keep making things. So if I wanted to make, like, if I wanted to come down here and put in today's date or case number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe today's date. And then why not just put the name of Leeds, because we're a forensic company, or a forensic lab apparently now. And you'll see that I put all that stuff in the text box, but you can't see it because my text box isn't big enough. So what I'm going to do is come over to this little select mode. I'm going to drag this up, and now I'm just going to make that text box bigger. And so you'll see all that. Any one of these text boxes, you can always just right-click, and then you can change the text, font, the color, any of those things. So let's go ahead and change this color to maybe white. We're going to change this over here to white, and we can save it as a default. So now every single time I draw a new annotation, at least the text box is going to appear white. All right, and that's basically it. When you're done, there's an added step, but basically what you would do is you click Done, and that's how you annotate. Now you might be going, wow, that seems like a lot of steps just to get my initials, my case number, date, and my company name or my lab name all on that one picture. And the answer is, it is. You have to do this every single time you take a picture with the Spot camera and Spot basic software. Every single time you take a picture, and if you want to annotate it, you have to draw all these text boxes. But there's an easy way to do this. There's an easier way to do this quickly. So you can do what we did. So let's do that again. So let's move over. We're going to go to my live view. And this time we're really going to do a comparison. I'll bring up the live view so you can get that comparison view. You know, it helps if you are at low power. So what I'm doing right now is just bringing that image into focus. All right, not great. I'm not even going to try to line up these stria. I mean, it's kind of killing me a little bit, but we're just going to leave it like that. So we're going to take another picture. We're going to come in. We're going to hit the capture button. And so this is our new picture. And what I could do is just like what I did last time, where I go in and I have to draw all these text boxes. Alternatively, what I can do is I can select this picture that I just captured, that I did all these annotations on, that I really liked. I can just select this picture and use this picture as my template. Going forward, this is going to be the picture that I copy all these annotations from and then edit them on new pictures. So this is my new image, or my previously captured image. I'm going to go to Edit, go to Annotation mode. I'm going to use my little select tool, and now this is where the helpful tip comes into play. Actually drag a box around all of your annotations. And now what you do is you copy it, and you do that by Control-C. So now that's copied. You can also right-click and go to Copy to Clipboard. And so now that's copied in the clipboard. And then click Done. And then you can go to your new picture that we just captured, and you go to Edit, you go to Annotate, and you can click Control-V, or what you can do is you can just right-click and go to Paste. And then it pastes all your annotations directly on your picture, and now you can make movements. You can move them around, you can make slight adjustments, as opposed to having to recreate and re-put in all this information. So maybe now this is, instead of JPK Testifier 2, I can just double click on it, and now this is Testifier 3. Maybe I no longer want these arrows on my picture, and I can just lower this down. And then you can keep doing that, because now that this is now that template, I'm just going to call it a template, or that series of annotations is in your clipboard, you can use that for all your casework while you're logged in, while you have the Spot software turned on. So here's maybe another view, just changing magnifications. I can go ahead and hit Capture. Here's my newly captured picture. Again, I would go to Edit. I'd go to Annotate. And then in the picture, let's just make this bigger. And in the picture, I'd right-click, hit Paste. And so again, I can just keep doing that. I can kind of rinse and repeat for the rest of my examination time or casework. This can be really helpful as a way to very quickly do annotations. And what I suggest people do is, if you want to do this method, either you can just make a picture that you use as your template and just save it to your desktop. And when you start your day, you can just load that template picture and use that as the basis of all your annotations. Quick note, in Spot software, whenever you capture pictures and do annotations, before you can save or before you can share those pictures with other people that don't have Spot software, you need to burn in your annotation information. This technique that we're doing doesn't work on burned in pictures, if that makes sense. So like, if that makes any sense. So what I would do is, once I'm done editing, I would come in, I think this is good to save, I want to share it with everybody else so they can view it in Microsoft PowerPoint, Word, Paint, Photoshop, and see my annotations. You'd go to Edit, and then you'd go into Merge Objects, Merge All Layers. And so now this picture has that annotation information permanently baked in. What's important to note is once that annotation information is permanently baked in like that, you no longer can select it. It's literally part of the picture. It's like on the same layer. So if you're going to make yourself a template that you use with the layout of where your annotations are, just the template that you open up before you begin your day in casework, you want to save your picture. This is the template that I was using, or actually rather, this is the template that I was using. You just want to save this picture without burning in or merging all those layers. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions on it, please feel free to put it in the chat. Or ask me at jkurth@leedsmicro.com. That's the way to do quick annotations. And I think you'll find it a lot easier and a lot faster to get a lot of annotations on your pictures doing this way for Spot Basic. The difference between Spot Basic and Spot Advanced, at least in this level of annotations and control like that, is that Spot Advanced has the ability to run macros. And we're going to go through that. So I'm going to go ahead and close, click Done on my tools. I'm going to go ahead and close my software, and we're going to go ahead and launch Spot Advanced. So let's go ahead and zoom out. So you can do essentially the same technique that we've done in Spot Basic, where you take a picture, draw annotations on it, and use that as your template. In Spot Advanced, you can do that, or you can use the macro function. And the macros can look a little intimidating, but essentially what they do is they give you the ability to have a lot of ability to program things. So the best way is to show. So this is a macro I created, or helped the lab create. And I'm happy to share this macro with people if they want to download it and try it. I always find it's a lot easier to start from a macro than just to create one fresh, because then you can edit and see what's going on. But essentially, the way this macro works is it asks you, if you click this first button, it asks you what is the case number for A, so that's the left-hand side. So we're just going to make one up, hit OK. Now it's going to ask you, we're going to go to this one and say, what is the case number for case B, so on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side. And this macro is designed in a way so the last button that you click is capture, and it will automatically capture the picture and then put the annotations that you've laid out directly on the picture. So we hit capture and annotate. So it's going to ask us what our magnification was at. So if you're going to do measurement, you can just have this as part of the macro. We're using 9, and then you can see how it just lays it all right on the picture. And what's kind of cool about this is it'll do this for everything that you're working on. So if you're changing magnifications, just like last time, if you're changing magnifications, let's go back to live. And now maybe we're still on the same case number JPK 1234. You can still see that that's loaded, but now we've changed the bullet that we're looking at on the right side. So we can call this Kevin 1234. Now when I hit capture, it goes through the same procedure. It asks us what magnification we're at. We're at 18. Hit OK, and it puts it all on the picture. So this way is a very for me, this is the biggest advantage with Spot Advanced, is you have this ability to do macros and then very quickly put these annotations on your picture without really having to spend any time in the annotation tools in the Spot software. So how do you do it? I'll do a brief overview, just what this running through this exact macro as a concept, and know that we're always available to do more one-on-one hands-on training. Macros can look complicated because they have so many different possibilities, but they're fairly simple in concept. So the way you edit the macros, and again, if you're interested in macros, I'll just email you these macros that I've made, is we're going to go ahead and go to Edit. So this is I believe this is the macro I've been using. Yeah. And so you'll see that it's a little script. So the idea is that you begin, this is what happens when I hit the capture and annotate button, it runs this macro. So it begins the macro, that's when you click the button. It acquires a single picture, that was that capture. It sets image calibration. And where you choose all these little commands is off on the left-hand side. And you'll see that there's lots of them. There's lots of different ones you can choose from. And then it's going to add an annotation, it's going to add another annotation, it's going to add another annotation, and that corresponds to the first annotation, the second annotation, and this third annotation, and then it's going to end the macro. So what does that look like? So when we acquire a single image, that's pretty straightforward. Let's go to the annotations. Well, let's go to the set image calibration. If you click modify, what you'll see that it has set image calibration. We've got a checkbox that says it's interactive, and that's what allows the user to choose what magnification they're at. That's it. When you go to add annotation, we're going to go ahead and hit modify, and it's going to show that it's a text. This is where we define the font color, so we're going to be using that purple font color. You can choose the font. Justification, so that's where it is in the text box. You can work through it. We'll get into set text in a moment. And then position and size. And these position and sizes is just where it is in the picture, x and y coordinates. And that refers to pixels from the left. So you'll see x and y, position and size. X is 1 in 53 pixels. That means that it's with a left reference on the top. So that tells it that it's 153 pixels from the left and 153 from the top. And then if we click set text, we're going to see that it's pulling a variable. And I'll show you guys that in a moment. That variable corresponds to when I click that what is case A. Whenever you click that button, the program sets a variable with this variable, text variable 1. And then we effectively just keep repeating that for adding these other annotations. So you'll see this is the second annotation. It's not interactive because it's pulling from a variable from one of these buttons that I clicked earlier. You'll see that it's now set, the reference is set to the top here on the right, and it's 153 from the top right side and 153 pixels from the top. And then the set text, you'll see text variable 2. And that's because whenever the user clicks what is case B and they set it as text variable 2, it remembers that. And that's basically it for the macro. What we'll do is next go over the variables. So let's see here, let's go to macro, edit. So see what is case A. You begin the macro, you prompt the user, and then this is where we typed in what is the case number for A. And you can actually even have default text, you can put anything in here you want, and then you can see where it saves the user entry. And this is the setup of it. Again, you can get into the weeds. The second you start talking about macros, you really get into the weeds. But hopefully this helpful tip video will show just how to set up these macros. Bear with me, we're about 2 minutes away. I'm going to show you one last tip or trick on how to set this up. The final step you need, which is to actually make these buttons. So you've got your macros. Now what we need to do is make a button or a shortcut for them. So the way you do that is you go to Setup, and you go to Taskbars. So before we were in macro, now we're in Setup, Taskbars. And taskbars is what Spot uses to allow a user to make custom buttons and hotkeys for essentially anything. We're going to use the taskbars to make macro buttons. So you can see this is my taskbar. I can click Modify. And you can see what I've done is I've made, in this taskbar, which is the window, I have 3 buttons. What is case A, that runs the macro what is case A, runs the macro what is case B, and then runs that Jake macro 1 test, which was my capture. If you click on Modify, you can see that the action is to play the macro, and then you choose the macro that you're running. So what is case A? You can then change the appearance of the button by typing in whatever you'd like to say. You could say, Jacob gives great macro YouTube videos, text variable 1. And you have this live text update, and you can see how it's pulling that text variable. So the idea here is when you click that button, it runs the macro, which you then set what is text variable 1, but then it will show on the button text what text variable 1 is. And that's all you got to do. And then you choose your color and hit OK. And then you do the same for this one. What is case? It just plays the macro, it shows the button text, chooses the button color, and that's it. And then the last one was very much the same. Plays the macro, shows the text, and chooses the color. You can even make a hotkey. If you wanted to make a hotkey like Alt-Z or something like that to take a picture, you can make a hotkey for that. Clearly it takes more setup than Spot Basic, but once you're done, you have these macros that you can use. And as soon as you create a taskbar, it'll appear in your software. A little bit longer than I planned to go. Hopefully this will help everybody create macros, use macros, and in general it will let people more quickly move through their casework and put annotations on anything. So again, thanks for watching most recent one of our Leeds Helpful Tips. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at jkurth@leedsmicro.com. If you want an example of these macros, me to send these to you so you can play with them, please feel free to just email me. And yeah, please feel free to tune in next week, and thanks for watching.